Okay, let's dive into something really fascinating today, Li-Fi technology.
Hmm.
We're not just going to look at how it works, but explore this really unique perspective from our source material.
Right.
A look at what the name Li-Fi itself might actually, well, what it might tell us.
Yeah, that's right. We've got this source here. It looks like the first chapter of maybe a book, maybe an article. It's called Dismantling Global Terms in Plain Arabic.
Okay.
And it does exactly that, a deep dive into this one term, Li-Fi.
So our mission for this deep dive is, first, let's get a handle on what Li-Fi actually is.
Get a plan?
And then unpack this, well, pretty intriguing argument from the source. That if you look at Li-Fi through a specific Arabic linguistic lens, you can find these hidden meanings.
Yeah, meanings that connect directly back to how the technology functions. It's quite a claim.
It sounds like a really unique approach. The
Yeah.
source is saying plain Arabic can be like an interpretive tool for modern terms.
That's the gist of it. Yeah. A deep interpretive method, not just, a surface translation.
Wow. Okay, so let's start with the basics then. What is Li-Fi? Forget Wi-Fi radio waves for a second.
Right.
Imagine connecting to the internet using the light, like from the lamp right above you.
That's the core idea, exactly. Based on what the source outlines, Li-Fi sends data using light flashes.
Flashes, like flickering.
Uh-huh. But incredibly fast. So fast your eye can't perceive them at all, but they carry the data.
Wow.
And it's happening, essentially, at the speed of light.
Okay, speed of light data. And the source mentioned some other pretty exciting things about it.
Oh, definitely. Speed is a huge one. We're talking potentially hundreds of times faster than your typical Wi-Fi now.
Hundreds of times. So like instant downloads, basically.
Right, pretty much. And then there's security. That's another big point the source makes.
How so?
Well, think about it. Light doesn't usually go through solid walls, right?
Right.
Radio waves do. So with Li-Fi, the signal is physically contained within the room where the light is.
Ah, okay. So only people in that space can actually get onto the network.
Exactly. Unless you're in the line of sight, more or less, you can't connect. Much harder to hack from outside.
Makes sense. More secure. What else?
It's also described as being more stable, more reliable. It's less likely to get interference like Wi-Fi sometimes does from other radio signal.
Okay, so stable, secure, super fast. Seems like it'd be good for certain places.
Yeah, the source points that out. Places where you can't have radio frequency signals or where they're restricted.
Like hospitals.
Hospitals, yeah, or maybe airplanes, places like that.
And energy efficiency, too.
Mm-hmm. Because you're essentially using the lighting infrastructure that's probably already there.
Right.
The lights are on anyway, and now they're also transmitting your internet. So you don't necessarily need extra power-hungry devices just for the connection.
So, okay. Functionally, Li-Fi is using light, fast, secure, reliable data transmission within a sort of contained space.
That's a good summary. Now, the source material takes that functional description and overlays this linguistic analysis of the name Li-Fi itself. And that's where it gets, well, quite provocative.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does the source actually approach the name Li-Fi?
So the core argument is that these global technical terms, many from, Western contexts, can be analyzed using plain Arabic, not just translated, but analyzed for deeper sort of inherent meanings.
How? Like looking at the sounds?
Yeah, it looks at the sounds and the perceived symbolic value of the letters, drawing on Arabic root systems and meanings.
So the letters aren't just sounds, they're like symbols with concepts attached.
That's the idea presented in the source, yes. It takes Li-Fi, which, okay, we know is short for light fidelity.
Right.
And it kind of breaks down the core sounds. It tries to map these onto perceived Arabic letters, focusing on the consonants after removing vowels.
Okay, so what letters or sounds does it focus on for Li-Fi?
It zeroes in on the sounds associated with the Arabic letters F and Lam, so F and L or FL.
F and L. And what does the source say those sounds represent in Arabic? Let's start with F, fel.
Okay, so according to the source's analysis, the sound associated with fe, the F sound, often connects to concepts like overflowing, spreading out, giving, effusion.
Overflowing, spreading, like something moving outward.
Yeah, or being distributed, that kind of idea.
Got it. And the L sound, lamb.
That sound, lam or L, again, according to this specific analysis, relates more to encompassing, controlling, mastering, or even wrapping something up.
Containing it.
Exactly. Containment, covering, control.
So, F is spreading out, L is containing. If you put them together, FL. What does the source say that combination means? Spreading and containing.
Well, specifically in the order FL, the source argues the fundamental meaning is something like an overflowing or benefit that hasn't been fully encompassed or covered.
Overflowing but not fully contained.
Right. It's spreading out, but it's not completely wrapped up or held in.
Does the source give an example? That sounds a bit abstract.
It does, yeah. It brings up an Arabic phrase used when the moon sets. The phrase apparently uses a word related to this FL root, and the meaning conveyed is that the moon's light spread out.
The overflowing.
Right, but without being fully seen or contained before it then vanished or set. So it's an overflowing light that wasn't fully encompassed.
Okay, I think I get the concept now. An overflowing that isn't fully held back, but the term is li-fi, often pronounced with that E or yi sound at the end. Does the source account for that?
Yes, it does address that. It suggests that the Y sound or the implied vowel introduces a dynamic element.
Dynamic how?
It symbolizes things like continuous movement, flow, continuity, an ongoing process.
So it adds a sense of action. It's not static.
Precisely. So when you add that element, the meaning evolves slightly, according to the source. It becomes something like a continuous overflowing, aiming for encompassing.
Continuous overflowing, aiming for encompassing. So an ongoing spreading, directed towards containment, but maybe not quite reaching it.
That seems to be the interpretation presented, an ongoing outward flow with an inherent boundary or limit being approached.
Okay, now let's bridge this abstract linguistic idea. How does the source connect this concept, continuous overflowing, aiming for encompassing, or overflowing not fully encompassed? How does that relate back to the actual technology of Li-Fi?
Right. This is the core of the source's argument. It draws direct parallels. First, Li-Fi uses light, right?
Yeah.
Light is a form of energy that naturally overflows or spreads out from its source.
Okay, connects to the overflowing F concept.
Exactly. The data is literally overflowing via light waves.
Gotcha.
Then, crucially, Li-Fi's light signal doesn't pass through walls.
Right, we covered that for security.
Yes. But linguistically, the source says, this means the data transmission while it's overflowing from the lamp. It is not completely encompassed by the building structure. It's contained within the room.
So it perfectly matches that FL meaning, overflowing without complete encompassing by the physical wall.
That's precisely the connection the source makes. The way the light behaves, spreading out but stopping at the walls, mirrors that core linguistic idea derived from FL.
Okay, that's actually pretty clever. What about the continuous part?
Well, think about how Li-Fi sends data through those unseen continuous pulses or flashes of light.
Right, the rapid flickering we can't see.
The source argues that this continuous nature directly reflects the dynamic meaning it associates with the Y sound or element. It's a continuous overflowing specifically for information.
So the constant stream of data pulses matches that symbolism of continuous movement or flow.
And then there's the final piece, this overflowing of data. It's confined, isn't it?
Yeah, to the area the light covers. The room, basically.
Right, essentially limited to the range of vision or the illuminated space. The source sees this as reinforcing the FL concept again. The effusion isn't fully encompassed by the whole building, but it is specifically limited or contained within the domain of the light itself.
Wow, okay. So putting it all together, the source is arguing that the word Li-Fi, when you analyze it through this specific Arabic linguistic framework, it's not just an acronym or some random sounds. It actually carries this hidden meaning that perfectly mirrors how the tech works. Light overflowing, but not fully encompassed by walls, doing so continuously, the data pulses, and confined to the area of light.
That's the conclusion drawn in the source, yes. That the technology kind of perfectly embodies this abstract concept derived from those Arabic roots and sounds. The word, through this lens, carries its own functional truth.
It really makes you think differently about the words we use for new tech, doesn't it?
It does, and the source suggests this isn't just a one-off for Li-Fi.
So
it mentions this method could potentially be applied to unpack meanings in other common global terms, things like RSA, Wi-Fi, robot, smart, even internet, code, data.
Applying this ancient language lens to modern digital terms.
Yeah, the takeaway from the source is really that by looking at global terms through this specific Arabic linguistic method, seeing letters as symbols, connecting to root meanings, you might uncover deeper insights about the concepts themselves, meanings hidden beneath the surface definition.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What other words that we use every day might hold these kinds of secrets, these connections, just waiting to be seen from a different perspective?
It definitely suggests that sometimes, the deepest understanding of something new might come not just from the latest explanation, but from looking back, way back, to the building blocks of language itself. What else is hiding in plain sight within our words?